figure me no press people button. Nobody chat come face me with some.
Road Break family, how's every single one of you today? Of course, the weekend is here among us and the last day of May. So, you know, the weekend always brings us different things. We try to do something that is not just reviews. So we have like interviews, and this time we're going to be doing some like retrospect. We're going to do a flashback. We're going to be talking about the biggest party of the summer, 14 years ago, is going to be Summerslam 06. And we have the pleasure to have a great friend of ours, great wrestling fan, and great metal band, you know, rock, great taste. Ryan Whitman, baby. How you doing? Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm fantastic. How's everybody doing?
Absolutely great. We're really happy to have you, and we're going to be talking about this pay-per-view, SummerSlam 06. It was a really great show. It was pretty like the last show of like the PG era, around that, like when there was that transition, or like going like kind of like TV-14 to PG era, so that was really cool. Yeah. So, well, you know, we're going to be starting talking about that. Jean-Paul, how do you feel today? Ready to...
Good. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, this show, I thought this show, like you said, it kind of touched that nostalgic feeling when it's like, oh, you watch wrestling and you're like, oh, this is still legit. Versus now we watch it and we're like, oh, yeah, you know, we kind of expect bullshit. But no, this actually felt legit. And like you said, it was just a really fun show. It reminded me like when you and I did Lockdown from TNA. It was just like a really fun show. You watch it and you're like, oh, this is legit.
Oh, yeah, and for example, Ryan, like you were the one that chose this pay-per-view. Tell me why you chose this pay-per-view.
I wanted something for me, that time period of like 06. As a kid watching that, wrestling was like the greatest thing ever for me as a kid. 6 years old watching that, and I wanted something that had a Edge Cena match because that was the rivalry for me as a kid. I loved Edge, even though I'm wearing a Cena shirt right now. I was always a big Edge fan, and it was always for my brother and I to watch it together. We'd watch Raw and Smackdown every night. Well, every night it was on, and I was a huge Edge head, and he loved Cena, so it was just fun for us to watch.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, that rivalry is probably the best like rivalries that Cena ever had.
They went one of my favorites.
They went to distance, and like I wouldn't be surprised if they do it one more time.
I was literally just gonna say that like there's no way that how epic this rivalry was at that time that you don't retouch on it. Yeah. Because Cena, you know, he wants that match. He's like, oh, you know, he wants a big match at some point. He didn't really have that at WrestleMania. They more kind of just like told the story. And, you know, Edge didn't get in shape to just wrestle Randy Orton and then be like, see ya. So, you know, he's going to do more than that. So they're definitely going to retouch on that.
Yep, so family, thank you so very much for subscribing to the channel. Thank you so very much for the support, for all the love that you see that we can actually feel in the social media world that we have. So, Ryan, let's start with like the first match, SummerSlam 06. The show opens with Chavo Guerrero going against Rey Mysterio. What do you think about this match, the whole feud? You know, Rey loses the World Heavyweight Championship to Booker T, or Kim Booker, thanks to the help of Chavo. So, like, what do you think of this match? Did you like it? Like, what was that for you?
I thought it was a good opening match to open the show, to have just a good, you know, smaller guys do more of almost a cruiserweight type of feel to the match. I thought it was a little awkward. I mean, obviously, it was well known that Eddie and Rey were great friends, but to have Chavo be the heel when it was his uncle that died, I thought it's a little strange, but, you know, WWE doesn't make the most sense sometimes, but no, I thought it was a fun match, and then with Vicky's involvement there towards the end, kind of a bullshit finish, but you get that.
It's true.
I agree. I think, like, WWE, when you're watching it, you're like, okay, these two guys can wrestle, and it's legit, but then when you actually hear the storyline, and it's like, why do they got to keep capitalizing on Eddie's death? Like, they did it till he won the title, and you're like, okay, that's legit. Like, okay, whatever. He won the belt. But then it should be done to make, like, Chavo kind of jealous, cost him the belt. Then it paints Chavo, like, because all the fans are like, oh, Chavo's bullshit. And it's like, no, he's not bullshit, but that's just how you see him. But it was a legit match, you know, with Chavo and Rey and stuff. It was really legit. But it was surprising to see Rey lose because it's like you said, the heel goes tall, even though Vicky got involved. But it was like, okay, you start off the show and you're like,
That was the first piece of like Vicky kind of like getting involved into storylines. And see, why they did that is because they had a really long feud after that. The next two pay-per-views in No Mercy, they have an I Quit match that Rey actually loses again. And then in a year after that, in 07, SummerSlam 07, Rey Mysterio comes back and faces Chavo, and that's when he gets his win. So that's why they did a long-term rivalry with these two, and that kind of catapulted Chavo to like a semi-main event status. He won the ECW championship. So like he was like a little bit. They needed Chavo to just be like that heel that like Eddie you could play.
Yeah,
both.
I was gonna say it was clearly something that I feel like they were probably trying to capitalize on it. They're like, well, we have a Guerrero and we'll try to make him a heel, but unfortunately, nobody can and nobody ever will capture like what Eddie was able.
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
no,
So.
Chavo was for you, Ryan, right? Chavo like will never even come close to what Eddie was.
No, which I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's the truth. Eddie was Eddie, world champion, one of the best wrestlers in the world. I mean, Chavo's very good at what he does, but he's not Eddie.
Exactly, and I used to love that. Ooh, Chavo! That was great. That was me. Yeah, that was awesome.
But the music to me was like so babyface, and then when he comes out and he's all like heel, I'm like, bro, like let's like really, I'm like laughing at him. I'm like, listen to your music, dude.
Exactly.
Like, how can you be pissed off? You got like women all like over you, like.
Yeah. So like that was a great match, like you said, and then Chavo gets the win. He gets a frog splash. He does brainbuster, frog splash, and then he gets the win. So Chavo is the one that like they're kind of like pushing in that rivalry. But then we go to the second match, the first time that the ECW championship is gonna be defended on pay-per-view, and then let's start with like Jean Paul on this one. So like, tell me, what do you feel about Big Show going against the genocidal, suicidal, defiant dead Sabu?
Well, I mean, it would have been cool if you would have had. Now I know he was in the main event scene at the time, RVD, but it would have been cool because when I think ECW and you think, oh, it's the first time the ECW championship is being defended on WWE pay-per-view, it should be two ECW guys. And it's like the Big Show, he was the champ at the time, it's like, okay, whatever. The Big Show didn't look that impressive in this match. Neither did really. I mean, Sabu is legit. I love him, but there's like two botches by Sabu that like really kind of stand out. And the Big Show is just like, and he just has to stand there till Sabu fixes it. But like legit spots with the tables. I'm glad they had it like the Extreme Rules match because I know they used to do ECW matches with Sabu and they weren't Extreme Rules, and it's like he uses the chair like 50% of the time, right? So I mean, it was cool in that aspect, but I think it would have been cool to have Sabu win. I don't really remember how the ECW storyline and all that was going at the time, so maybe it wouldn't have made sense, but I don't know. I just would have liked to see an ECW original kind of win the belt.
Yeah. No, like Ryan, how did it feel for you? How what did you feel?
Match was fine. Like Sean Paul said, some of those botches, like when Sabu goes to jump on the table when it's on, I believe it was on the ladders, but then the table just slides off. You're like, all right, well, kind of takes away some of the.
It was on. Big Show brought in the ring steps, and he kind of had like a little mini bridge, and then Sabu stands on it, and it slips off. So he quick sets it back up, and Big Show just stands there like, and then Sabu DDTs him through the table, and you're like, why the hell did Big Show just eat that DDT? Like what? Like,
even I think there was Sabu. He was gonna go for the spot off the top rope with the chair. But when he went to go to the top rope, he drops the chair.
Yep. That was the other one when he went for the Arabian Face Buster. He just like threw the chair on I'm like, and then he grabs the chair, and the commentator is like, "Oh, I think he dropped the chair."
Yeah.
And it's like
worth mentioning that, like, see, the commentary team at that time was Joey Styles and Taz for the ECW brand.
Which was a legit commentary team.
Right, guys like Brian, like of course, Joey Styles, Taz, ECW originals. That made it a little. They gave it the vibe, right?
Yeah, Joey Styles. I would say when I think ECW, Joey Styles and Paul Heyman are two guys that come to mind.
Exactly.
And I think the 06, 07 ECW I liked, but then started to go off the rails towards the end in like 08. Like I said, when Chavo was champion, it's like it was hard to get behind at that time. But 06, with this pay-per-views from, Big Show as champion and Sabu and just all the guys they had back then, Dreamer, Mahoney, Balls Mahoney.
Mahoney.
Yeah,
you're good.
That was good. I like that.
And not to go too off topic and talk about ECW, but I feel like if they wouldn't have called it ECW and they would have just called it something else, it would have been fine. But like when fans are watching it, they're thinking of ECW from like 97, 98, and then they see this and it's like
it's nowhere near.
And you're like, what am I even watching? So
it was never.
But like the match itself, but like the match itself. I mean, like we said, it wasn't bad, but it was one of those things where I think it was at the right spot on the show. It shouldn't have really been any higher up on the card because it wasn't anything that, it isn't like a timeless classic.
No, yeah, and of course the big chokeslam in the middle of the two tables. 1, 2, 3. The Big Show retains. You wanted a little bit of a backstory. The inaugural ACW champion is Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam gets the championship from Paul Heyman when ECW just was started. They debuted that. And then, like, the Big Show cashes in an opportunity because Paul Heyman turns into RVD. And that's how he became champion. So that's how, like, the backstory from that rivalry. But, like, good stuff. I like Ryan said, like, I think that, like, 06, 07, a little bit to, like, pushing it, like, mid-08 is when ECW was watchable. After that, then it's, like, completely went, like, off the road. So, like, that's why, like, in it pretty much, like, 2 years after that, they pretty much closed it down. So it was something that nobody wanted to see. But see, then now we go to, like, a Legend Killer against the biggest icon in our business. Right here's the original Legend Killer right here. So, Ryan, like, how did you feel about this match? Randy Orton against Hulk Hogan.
I think the Legend Killer gimmick is one of the best gimmicks that's been in wrestling in the past. I'm not a huge Hulk Hogan fan. When I see he's going to be on the show, I'm like, all right, whatever, Hogan's here. But when you hear that entrance music, though, it is hard enough to sing along. It is one of the best entrance songs in the world.
And it hurts inside.
And he's still doing all the 80s Hogan stuff with the flexing and just all the same moves. He's kind of a bullshit wrestler, but he can be fun to watch sometimes.
Exactly.
With Hogan, I mean, you see this match, and it's like, okay, if Hogan is legit, he'll put Randy Orton over.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you know what I mean? But then as you're watching it, the crowd is into it. The crowd is literally eating the bullshit out of Hogan's hand. And I'm just sitting here, I'm just sitting here with my arms crossed, and I'm like, come on. Like, why is, like, it's, you know, once he hit the RKO, Hogan put his foot on the ropes, you knew it was done. It's like, okay, there's the finisher. Now Hogan's going to hit the leg drop, and he won't kick out. He won't kick out of a leg drop. But the crowd loves it. So, hey, give them what they want.
The foot on the rope spot felt a little like, all right, because then the ref counted to 3, and it's like, okay, I got to go through the whole, the match is going to restart. It's like, all right, whatever, it's fine. Hogan's going to get the win. Like, it's Hogan in 06.
The one thing I will say, though, is Randy Orton sold him old school. Like when Hogan would, like, get the cheers, Randy would be like, what the hell? And he'd be pissed and stuff. Now, if they did that, the heel would just stand there like, and they wouldn't react. Randy Orton reacted really old school, like heel, and it felt like an old school match. It didn't feel like, oh, we have an old timer in there with a new guy. Like, Randy Orton really played it old school, I thought, and just all the facial reactions. Like, when Hogan would Hulk out, Randy Orton legit looked like he shit himself. He was like he didn't know what to do. So, like, that aspect was good, but it was just kind of the winner and the outcome. It's like, okay, typical Hogan bullshit.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's good. Like, Warren mentioning, guys, that, like, that was the last time that Hulk Hogan had a match in WWE.
Yeah, because then, then he left.
Started on, like, Saturday night's main event because, like, Randy Orton was making out with Brooke Hogan, with the daughter. And then
that was, like, the whole angle.
Arena, and then he gets RKO. So that's how it all started. But like Ryan said, the Legend Killer is one of the best gimmicks. It's just like, like cool.
Great.
And I love the music though. Like, you know, like, hey, nothing you can say.
And when you have the pyro coming down from the top,
Voices is bullshit. Voices, that theme is bullshit compared.
Paul's Voices is bullshit. Like, I don't like that. And you know, Randy Orton requested that he wanted that song to be changed. He wanted Voices. So, like, that's, you know, when you disagree with Randy, like, come on, man. Like, the first theme song that he had, it was the best theme song that he's ever had. So, like, good stuff. But like you guys said, at the end, the Hulkster will, of course, has to get the win. You know, yeah, Ryan, to say something, of course.
I think the best part of the match is what came after the match, when Hogan walking around, and then he sees a guy with that huge Hogan back tattoo, and he just gives him the chop on the back. That was, to me, I'm like, what the hell is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know that guy loved it. He was like,
like, he probably went home and he's like telling everybody, he's like, guess what Hogan did to me?
Well, yeah. If you guys saw it, like, he got a tattoo. Hulk Hogan just got a tattoo that says Immortal.
Because he's the immortal one. Because he's coming back.
He was supposed to win the Battle Royal this year in WrestleMania. If it wasn't for the pandemic, he was scheduled to win the Battle Royal.
I'm telling you, SummerSlam, I'm telling you, it's going to be Hogan's Beach Shop. He's going to have it there.
Well, maybe. He's
going to have a match, dude. I'm telling you, legit.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking news, rope break.
Always delivering breaking news, and see, like, we're so happy that we have our Legend Killer with us. So next match, guys, you know, two icons. This SummerSlam had a lot of old school guys fighting, and only like kind of like the future at that time in Cena, in Batista, in like Edge. But see, we had Mick Foley going against Ric Flair. You know, like hardcore match, extremely hardcore match.
Yeah, an I Quit match. This was bull. I'm gonna say that this was kind of like the same thing, even though Hogan I'll never associate with legit, but this was a legit match, kind of like the last match, except for the ending. They had to have Mick, because I'm like, okay, they talk about Mick and The Rock and how Mick, he quit, you know what I mean? But it's like, not really. But then it's like, okay, so then Mick loses here. I didn't like that. To me, when Flair won, I didn't feel, I'm like, oh, that's legit, like Flair, okay. I mean, Flair is legit, and everything he said, he's like, you're going to have to rip my heart out, like, quit, or I'm going to kill you. It's like, Flair is legit. There's no way you can be like, oh, yeah, Flair's bullshit. But I'm like, it's Mick Foley. Like, Mick Foley shouldn't quit. Mick Foley legit should be the one guy who dies before he says he quits.
Yes. So, Ryan, your thoughts on this?
Well, they had that segment couple matches beforehand with Melina talking to Foley, and I'm like, I had no recollection of Melina being with Foley in any regard, so I was a little confused already by that. But from a pure match standpoint, I really liked it, because I was curious watching it. I looked up how old they were in 06. Flair was 57, Foley was 41. And to see what they were doing at that age, and just when Flair puts like Socko on and puts the barbed wire around, just giving the chops to Foley and just all the blood they were drawing, you could tell that they were two men who just love wrestling, and they love the business, and they love to entertain fans.
And the one thing, too, is they, kind of hate each other, or at least they did. So it was probably at that time, so they were probably really like, oh, duh, you fucking asshole.
Yeah,
really.
They had animosity towards both of them. Why? Yeah. Because in his book, Ric Flair, one of, his memoir, he says that Mick Foley's a bullshit wrestler. That's what pretty much says. He's like, I don't like Mick Foley. And
he pretty much said he couldn't get over, and he was never main event because he's bullshit.
Yeah.
And then Mick was like, all right, dude.
What Ryan is saying is they went really old school, and both of them
definitely.
Completely busted open, a lot of color.
And you got to think, Rick going into those thumbtacks. I mean, he was covered, and he's just wrestling the whole match, his thumbtacks loaded in his arms and his back, whatever.
And even when Flair and Foley, they'd roll into the ring. They're just rolling through the thumbtacks like it's nothing. I'm like, man.
When that adrenaline kicks up, you got to think they probably don't feel nothing. It's probably 2 hours later till they're like, what the hell? And they're pulling thumbtacks out of their nutsack, and they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like you guys said, I think it was a really great match. But see, when Melina comes in, and then I think Mick has the upper hand, and it's like, no, don't do it. Or I think it's
Foley, not Foley, Flair. I think he has Barbie, and he's gonna beat, and he's gonna whack Melina.
Yeah,
that's when Foley's like, I quit, because he doesn't want her to get hit, and I'm like, so it's a bullshit thing. But like I always say, it doesn't matter what goes on in the match, because at the end of the day, when you look at the paper, you look at the win column, Flair has a check, and Foley doesn't. So Foley loses again, another I quit match. It's one he really shouldn't lose. But you're not going to be like, oh, Ric Flair shouldn't win. You know what I mean? It's Ric Flair.
Yeah, so but for you, Ryan, did you like the end? Did you like the outcome? Or you were maybe Foley should have won?
I wasn't a huge fan of the ending because I didn't understand why Melina was there. And
I was going to say, Juan, do you remember, what was that exact, storyline? Because she's like, oh, I only represent, winners. What was her?
Well, she was, representing Morrison in Mercury.
But what about, was Foley then getting involved with...
No, it was just out of nowhere. It was just not.
So it was just a bullshit. Yeah.
Yes. So Ryan, fill me in. What was your thing? What were your thoughts with this? Because you're when you said Melina, you're not really sure why she's there.
I was never a huge Melina fan. I liked Mercury and Morrison when they were around, but just seeing her coming into the storyline between Flair and Foley, two icons, it felt very unnecessary because they could tell a story by themselves without having. Melina being into the match.
You know what the thing is, because Foley's usually a pretty company guy. It could have been a thing if they Shoot had this heat going on between each other at this time. Flair might have been like, I'm not going to do the job to Mick. And then it's well, how the hell do we have Foley lose? But he doesn't look like bullshit losing another I Quit match. It's oh, let's just get Melina involved.
Maybe.
Because it's if it comes out of nowhere, sometimes the backstage politics, you got to pull, stuff out of your ass like that.
Well, if you guys think about it also, backtrack a little bit. In Vengeance, Mick Foley got the upper hand. Because, he's the one that attacked Ric Flair, and then he was, busted open, but Mick Foley he stand tall. And the thing is, Mick Foley turned heel because of ECW One Night Stand. That's when he turned heel on everybody, so he was the heel, and Flair was actually the face. So like that's those two things to keep in consideration for this thing. But like good stuff so far. The pay-per-view is pretty enjoyable. A lot of good, like you see like blood, like still violence. There's like a lot of things that like we miss for like the wrestling that we get to see.
Oh yeah, and the crowd had the nostalgia pop with Hogan, Flair. You know what I mean? You see like a lot of those guys.
Yep. So Ryan, walk me through like Batista challenging Kim Booker for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Watching the match made me realize how great the King Booker gimmick was. Because I think when you face with that gimmick, you can either go King Booker and be great, or you can be King Corbin. And I thought King Booker did it very well with that gimmick, and having Queen Charmel with him, and just all the little things that they would do together to portray that they are royalty. And I always liked Batista back then. I mean, I still like him now. When he came out, I like shot up and I was doing the machine gun thing, and she looked at me like I was bullshit. But man, it is great.
No, Batista. On those days, wouldn't you think, Ryan, that Batista was so over? He was like, even sometimes I would say bigger than Cena. Everybody loved Batista.
Yeah, he was very over.
Yeah, he's one of those names you think like the ruthless aggression. You think of that era. It's like, to me, it's like Cena, Edge, Eddie, Batista, Mysterio. Taker. Like those are like the guys you think of. Triple H, but it's like Batista is right there. He's one of the first names you're going to mention.
Oh yeah, and I see like Ryan was saying, like that's how like you should be portrayed as like a king, like Charmel, like King Corbin, like calling everybody peasants and make everybody like kiss the feet and all of that, all of that stuff. And like they had like at the beginning of the pay-per-view, they had like that segment with Edge, and it's like like if you win your match, and then you can come to my show, and then you can kiss my feet. Oh, no, you come to Monday Night Raw, and then you'll be my royal servant for the whole day. So, like, see, like, I like how they always, like, will have the shows, there was exclusive, but at the same time, you could have, like, some guys from the one show going to the other one, but see, involving, like, the title.
To go off that, like you said, you're presenting this legit angle and presenting King Booker in a legit way, and then we see Baron Corbin, and they give him the most absolute bullshit storylines. And stuff to do, and then it's like, how do you expect this guy to get over?
Yeah, well, see, Ryan, tell me, like, for example, do you like Baron Corbin? Or do you like the one from NXT, or do this current Baron Corbin?
NXT, and then coming on the main roster, those first few months, I liked him. I'm like, okay, he's very good. But then he became corporate and started wrestling with the dress shirt, like he looked like an Applebee's waiter. I'm like, I don't like legit. This guy now.
Boneless wings, please.
Yeah.
And
especially now because he always loses too.
Right? Yeah, exactly. No tip.
Yeah, when he was doing the Lone Wolf gimmick, I like that. But now,
exactly.
I remember even he had that feud with Corey Taylor when Corey Taylor punched him.
Yeah,
Corey Taylor punched him. Nice. Yeah, and we always said this, Ryan. The Dip 6 is extremely legit move. The End of Days is an absolutely beautiful move, but they don't give him something to work. Always in lousy feuds. But going back now to like Batista and King Corbin, not King Corbin, Kim Booker, like a good match. It was good, but in the end, Kim Booker retains.
Another bullshit finish.
Now I like it because it's like, okay, Booker got screwed Mania 19. It's like, okay, all this other stuff, and then it's like, at least he has a title reign because they're like, oh, his first defense. It's like, how bullshit would that be? Oh, I'm King Booker, all this, and then you lose your first title defense. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, he beat Batista, it was all that stuff. He uses the scepter. There's all like the shadiness, the heel, and it keeps the gimmick strong. Because then I feel like if you're the king like that and you win the belt, and then as soon as you lose, it's like, okay, now you're bullshit. Yeah. Now you got to change the gimmick. You can't be the king no more.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just thought coming from, the last match had Melina's interference, which kind of caused a choppy ending, and now having Charmel come in, like, you kind of go into that, maybe a bit too much, of just having these odd endings. And then even afterwards, Batista gave Booker a Batista bomb, but it looked really awkward. Like, he barely got him in the air, and it's like they're in their prime. Like, it's not like you're watching, Taker versus Goldberg. Like, these are two men in their prime wrestling. So why can't Batista get him up?
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing you don't know. But I feel like when he hit the Batista bomb one, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, they had WrestleMania 3 on Fox or wherever or on ESPN the other day, and you watch a lot of those matches, and the babyface loses, but when the match is over, he hits his finisher on the heel, and the crowd pops.
Mhm.
And yeah, the crowd might be stupid and they pop, yay! But your guy still lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I think this was. It was like Batista hit the Batista bomb. The crowd, duh. But it's like he didn't win. So what
Well,
does it
you know,
matter? He
like-
could hit 5 Batista bombs. He's still not champ.
Yeah.
Well, like for the record, like you guys are saying, see, both of your ideas joined to this is because in this particular pay-per-view, like it was more heel dominated. The only feel-good moments, it was like DX and Hulk Hogan. Or any other match,
Oh, yeah.
like ending with a heel
Mhm.
getting the win. So
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah.
and you know,
Well,
there was not even
technically, I would
title
say
change.
technically Flair, because you said Flair was the face too.
Kind of like technically, but you know, like,
But
like,
who hates on Mick Foley? Like,
Yeah, that's the
can
thing.
Mick Foley even be a heel? He tries
No.
to be, and it's like, dude, no.
I mean, like the beginning with Mankind, you know, the first like '97 around that when
Yeah,
he
but
was
I
going
always
against
cheered
the
for. I love
Undertaker.
Taker. I love Taker, and I always cheered for Mick. Oh my
Well,
god,
there you go.
like ripping out my own hair. I'm like,
Yeah, there you go. So now, guys, let's go to like the first main event: D-Generation X, newly formed D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels and Triple H going against Vince McMahon and Shane, going against the McMahons. Ryan,
Just
how was
them?
that for you?
Was it just them though?
Well, there was more. The Spirit Squad.
No,
Here's
far
what-
from it being just them. The crowd loved DX. As a kid, DX in that 06, I thought they were fantastic. Crowd popped from big. Then you start seeing all the bullshit coming in. The McMahons come out like, okay, Spirit Squad, DX takes care of them easy. Makes sense. Spirit Squad. And then you get Ken Kennedy, Fit Finley, and then there's William Regal. I'm like, all right, seems like a weird group of henchmen to come. And then they kind of beat him up, and then they get him. And then what was it? It was
Then it was
Big Show.
Umaga, Armando Estrada.
No, Umaga came out during the match, but then Big Show came and then did the choke slam through the table. Triple H.
The only thing I will say about this though, like if this was a shoot fight, like if Finley and Regal come out in a shoot fight, Triple H and Shawn are done. Like no chance. Like Regal
No.
and Finley legit in a shoot, no.
Yeah.
It's like, you see these legit guys, and then they just get jobbed. Like, Spirit Squad too, jobbed. It's like, okay. Like, yeah, the crowd loves it. DX is legit, but it's like, look at all these guys who are just jobbed.
Yeah.
I
So
know.
anyway, keep going, Ryan.
Yeah, and then so Triple H is done. Shawn's almost done in the ring. And then the match starts finally after about 10 minutes of a beatdown. So it's already kind of dragging. And then just what Vince and Shane do to Shawn for like another 10, 15 minutes, it started to drag a bit. And it's like, okay, just kind of keep waiting and waiting. Triple H is going to come back. He's going to come back. You see the crowd start to react at times. But then, with Shane baseball slide to Triple H took him out for like another 5 minutes. It's just a whole lot of, I think, dragging out a beatdown when it didn't need to be dragged out that far. And the whole time, like, okay, Shawn's going to come back. Triple H is going to come back. They're going to have the big comeback. Something's going to happen. They're going to get the win. So you just kind of wait for that to happen. It's just a matter of getting there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
Your
100%.
psychology of how you see the match is absolutely outstanding because it's like you see it like how everybody's like, okay, well, we gotta wait. Then of course Umaga comes out also,
Mm-hmm.
like Armando Estrada, and then Kane comes out. So like it's like a big bunch of guys. Let's not forget that like one member of the Spirit Squad is Dolph Ziggler, a pretty young Dolph Ziggler. So yeah, Jean-Paul, go ahead.
And the one
Hard
thing
to
that's
believe.
funny, I actually was thinking that when I think it was Jim Ross or somebody, or it might have been the King, when they said about everybody from the Spirit Squad. He's like, I see a gas station attendant in their future, or fast food worker in their future, and it's like Dolph Ziggler, 6-time IC champ. Like, okay,
Well, the 6-time, 2 times World Heavyweight Champion,
Yeah.
U.S. Champion, Tag Champion,
yeah,
Money in the Bank winner. Like Dolph Ziggler has done it all. So like that's the only one that came out of that because Kenny Dystra,
Yeah.
he was dating Mickey James. He was engaged to Mickey James, and thanks to our great guy John Cena, like they split up. They did some things on the side. John was like on those days, hey, bless his heart, But that's the stuff what happens with Kenny Dystra. But see, guys, then like you said, Ryan drags, but in the end, DX makes the huge comeback, and then they're up cleaning house. But like, see, DX, I think I enjoyed this DX a lot more than like the original one because like, see, like Michaels and Triple H were still in their prime, and they were kick-ass.
They were great. together.
They were legit wrestlers. I just like the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, just for like, the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all that stuff was really good. And to me, like when I think of DX, I actually always think of them versus Triple H and Shawn. But then once you get to this in-ring version of DX, I think was way more legit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, right, Ryan, would you agree with that? Like, for example, what's
Yeah.
your best version of DX?
My personal favorite, I mean, okay, as a kid, that's what I grew up with, just Shawn and Triple H. But I think my favorite would be Shawn, Triple H, and then China. The three of them, when they were running it before Michaels got injured, I thought they were great together. Just all the stuff they would do, it was funny. They popped the crowd every week. It was good what they were doing. But then, Shawn got hurt and he was done for a while, so they had to bring in Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, X-Pac.
Yes,
So,
yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much what they did. But like, see, this new formation even takes, like, they have another match in Unforgiven. That's a pay-per-view
yes.
that, like, when Ryan visits again, we will do that one too, because Unforgiven is great. Hell in a Cell, handicap match, Big Show win the
Yeah, Big
McMahons
Show.
against D-Generation X. So
Yes.
like, it was a great, like, stuff. Like, they had a really good run. Because even the
Yeah.
segments were really funny when they put the eggs in like the whole like Titan Towers, like they
Yes.
stole like the Jed, and like they will like put like crab on Vince and Shane. They will impersonate both of them. So good stuff. I really enjoyed this Triple H and show. I think everybody was having fun telling this.
Oh yeah, and like I said, nobody hypes the crowd more than Triple H. You
Oh,
know, what I mean,
yeah.
he gets the crowd really hyped up, and I love the spot at the end when Shane goes for the coast to coast,
That
and then like Shawn hits him with the super kick, and Vince is like, he's like, I'm done, and then super kick, pedigree, and done.
Oh yeah, it was, and like you said, like on those days, Shane was still good, like a decent wrestler. He could do stuff, so it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, he was good. I will say that. But see, now we go to the main event. We go to like the biggest rivalry for Mr. Whitman. Jean Paul also pops, and I enjoy this because Lita and Edge, big fan of like both of them, absolutely great. Raw WWE Championship match, rated R superstar, we can say it now, against John Cena for the title. The feud itself. Edge goes to Cena's house and he slaps the dad. What else do you want?
fantastic.
Right?
The,
Okay,
the only
walk me through it. Walk me through it,
the,
right?
the only the only thing I want to quick say is about the feud is I just don't like how the title it was like hot potatoed. I feel like it never like it didn't have to go back to Cena.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it could have just stayed on Edge and Edge could have just won that triple threat. And like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like he could have retained it against Cena. But again, it's like Cena has all these title wins, but look how many of them were just really quick when like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like
Same way
you
with
know,
even Charlotte today, though.
it's the
with
same
her,
thing.
just-
It's the exact.
like
it's
every
the
other
same
week, it's
thing.
changing.
pretty
Easy to
much.
see that number, like, oh wow, 13-time champion. Well, when you win it 3 times in like 4 weeks, yeah,
Exactly.
it's gonna shoot up.
Pretty
there.
much. Yeah. So like Ryan, like you like relive all those things, all those memories. The whole
That
rivalry
feud-
that takes to the match.
Yeah, to me as a kid, that feud, like you said, when Edge slapped Cena's dad, I remember watching as a kid. I'm like, that is fantastic. And then even like the live sex celebration, which is still insane that that's something that happened on national TV in 2006. And then Cena breaks that up. Just that feud was so good, and the matches that they had, and like in the pre-match package, Edge does that promo where he starts naming the dates of like when he won the title, when he lost the title. Like what I loved about it is that nowadays it seems like a belt is just kind of a prop, but to Edge, it seemed like that belt was his life. Like he needed that
yeah.
belt. And during the match, you could tell like when Lita would keep trying to come in to like with like the steel chair, and Edge is like, no, like he needs that belt. And that's what I loved about Edge as a kid.
Yeah, because they had the rule like if he got DQ'd, the belt would change on a DQ. It wouldn't just stay with the champ. So like you said, it wasn't even about the win. It wasn't about beating Cena. It was all just about the belt. Like you said, that was his main focus. And that's what it should be. Like if you're the champ, the only thing that should matter is the belt.
Oh yeah, yep. And like see, that's the old school mentality, and see Edge as a heel, like 10 points. Edge as a heel, so legit.
One of the best heels.
So legit. Like for me, maybe a few runs that he should have never had, but like when he had the belt, it was believable.
Mm-hmm.
He pissed me off when like he cashed on Taker with the Mark Henry. Remember that? Not this way, damn it! He pissed me off with that. But I've been going to therapy for that, but it's fine. But like this whole rivalry like meant so much for these guys. They solidify, consolidate both of them. Cena as a believable face, and Edge as like the top heel in the company. Just for like how good the rivalry was. Wouldn't you agree, Ray?
And it was great. So for that rivalry, for it to start with Edge as the very first Money in the Bank winner, it's like this new concept. You're like, okay, this is interesting. What's going to happen with it? As a fan, that's what you're thinking. And then New Year's Revolution, brutal Elimination Chamber match. Cena's all bloodied and he somehow won by the skin of his teeth, and then to have McMahon come out and be like, oh, it's one more match tonight, and then Edge, just the ultimate opportunist. Just that feud to start right there, and just the matches that they had going forward for that summer. Fantastic.
No, it's great. Like you said, like the live celebration, the live sex celebration, the thing that we want to see with Mandy and Otis. Like we want to see something like that. That would be really great. But like Edge, like that was the year of Edge. 06.
Yes.
Like you said, Money in the Bank. The match with Foley at WrestleMania. The hardcore match. That he wins that too. SummerSlam, he keeps the title. Of course, he loses at Unforgiven, and that to me is one of the biggest bullshit. Like because they gave it to Cena. And that was in Toronto. That was like with Edge, and that was Edge's specialty match, and of course Cena gets the win.
That was a ladder match, right?
Yep. No, that was TLC. That was TLC.
Okay, TLC. Cena does a spot at the top of the ladder, FU, and then Edge goes through the tables.
Yep, that was a TLC. That's why, and that was
when it was legit, when it was the FU.
Yeah, when it was the FU. Yeah, it was the FU.
And even hearing the announcers when he puts the STFU on, just to hear them say STFU.
Yeah, that was
it's legit.
Yeah, that was when we first started. And see, this match was like had a little bit of everything, but like Ryan will say, and like you just say, will jump on bullshit ending. Really bullshit ending. Because the brass knuckles in the back.
Yeah, but I mean, it was the whole time watching it though. Like, if you didn't already know who was gonna win, you're just like, oh, Cena's gonna win. You're like, no, like you just felt he was gonna win. Like you said, yeah, he wins next pay per view. But like when Edge got the knuckles, you're like, at least for me, it's like, again, taking yourself out of it, pretending you're watching it for the first time, you're like, yes, he's going to win. It's like, good. Yeah. That's how I felt, like, especially once he clocked him. You're like, if Cena kicks out, it wouldn't be surprising, but it would also be like extremely bullshit.
Oh, yeah. No, and like, see, what Edge did for Cena is like, Edge was able to produce really great matches with Cena. Like Edge will add the diversity, like kind of like the aerial moves and like all the wrestling itself, because at that time a lot of people criticized Cena for not being a great wrestler. So, but like
moves of doom,
but Edge was able to produce this type of matches. I mean, what is that for Cena? Again, he becomes the number one guy in the company, and this feud carried to the world. Even like they had a thing on 09. Also recreating the same feud. So like I can really see it at some point during this time that Edge has a contract for 3 years. So he has 9 matches each year that he has to produce. So there you go. He has a lot of time that he can give as a match with John Cena.
Oh, I think if I had to pick when that's going to happen, I'm going to say WrestleMania.
Probably.
I'm going to say I could see this Randy Orton match, or this Randy Orton feud rather, getting drug out till SummerSlam. I think John Cena will be way too early for SummerSlam, but WrestleMania, and that could be when Edge is done. He might be like, I'll wrestle till Mania and then done. I don't know how long his deal was. Probably 2 years, but who knows?
3 years.
I think it was a few years.
3 years.
Well, then never mind. I mean, this could start the Cena feud then. It might not be the blow-off.
Well, I remember, Ryan and Jump Up, remember ECW One Night Stand? Even then, Edge is the one that spears Cena. Yeah. And that's when Rob Van Dam does the frog splash, the 5-star splash, and then he wins the WWE Championship. So, like, see, this feud was, like, really, really long. And that's, like, what WWE needs to do, like, really long booking.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like in the middle, you kind of throw more elements, and then that's why people were more involved and they wanted to watch. But that's pretty much sums it up. That was the whole pay-per-view. So, like, your closing thoughts on this, Ryan. Overall, what was, like, your reliving this pay-per-view?
It was enjoyable. When I first started and I saw the time was, like, 2 hours, 41 minutes, I was shocked because I was expecting to go into, like, a 5-hour pay-per-view. But that's what pay-per-views were back then. They weren't these huge, long extravaganzas, especially one of the big four like SummerSlam. So it's kind of refreshing to see a shorter pay-per-view, but it's still to be quality, in my opinion. It was a fun show to watch. And when you're watching wrestling, if you're having fun, I think that's all you can ask for. If it's fun, then wrestling's good.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I agree 100%. And the show, the time was a big thing. 2 hours, 41 minutes. That's an easy, very easy SummerSlam to watch. And you watch it and you're like, okay, where were the tag belts? Okay, we saw the U.S. champ, but he got jobbed out. It's like, it's not like a WWE pay-per-view today where they're like, we have to defend all of our, 18 belts. And you're like, oh my God, this pay-per-view is 4 hours. Back then, they're like, what are the main feuds? What are the feuds people care about? Those are the ones that get TV time. Everybody else, you're safe for Raw and SmackDown. ECW, thanks for coming. But and that's why these pay-per-views are so good. Like you said, you watch it and you have fun. You don't watch it and you're like, why is this even on this isn't worthy of a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And
No.
the one big glaring thing from looking at the card is no women's matches. And
Nope.
sadly, that's how WWE was back then.
Yeah,
Women
because
weren't really
if you
respected.
remember, Ryan, they had that segment with Layla coming in to
Yes.
the locker rooms, and then
Yeah,
like
it's like
Trish is
you
like,
would-
oh, like you think that you can just for winning the Diva Search, you just belong to the
Yeah.
locker room, and then they kind of were teasing her, and then they take her to the shower, and then they were like all touching her, smacking the ass. So that was WWE women's like
Yeah.
wrestling. On
Yeah, like
those days.
like Lita, who was the champ, she was just in this match.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was,
She was
with
just at
Edge.
the
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
like it was
defended.
different. Times
like,
have changed.
The whole Diva Search, like, I totally forgot that was a thing. Like, and be like, oh, yeah, okay, they used to do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that that's only 14 years ago. And now
Oh
you
yeah,
see
it
that
is.
the women
It is crazy
main
to
evented
see.
Mania last year.
It's
So just
crazy
how
to
far
see.
they've come.
Oh yeah, to the point that now.
Oh yeah,
women, like, main
well,
event the
a
shows.
couple years ago when it was like what was it, TLC and all that, when the women were main eventing leading up to that Mania, that was the most enjoyable stuff on TV.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
Like
when
Asuka, Becky,
Asuka,
Charlotte, all them,
Charlotte, and
Ronda.
Becky.
Yep.
Asuka,
Yeah.
Charlotte, and Becky, and then the whole thing they drag it to Ronda. Like pretty much that was like you said, that was the best thing to watch in the shows because like all their feuds were absolute trash.
Yeah, Lesnar and Roman are like, so.
Lesnar and Roman, nobody wants to see that. Like nobody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight you again.
Not even through a
It's like-
pandemic you want to see that. So like not
No.
even through that. Not nobody wants to see that. I see like Ryan, this is the time that we give you. For like you can say hi to anybody. You can tell us like if you want to shout out somebody. Just right here. The floor is yours. So you can say hi to anybody, friends, family.
I'll give a shout out to my girlfriend Grace for supporting me. I said this is something I want to do, and she's like, "Yeah, you should definitely do it." And I'm really happy I did because this was a whole lot of fun, and I enjoyed watching the whole pay-per-view. And so yeah, just shout out to my girlfriend Grace. Love you.
That's
good
legit.
stuff. And like I said, Ryan, you're more than welcome to come in any single time that you want.
Yeah.
For pay-per-views, we need you back because like you have a lot of expertise. You've been like you know Edge, Chris Jericho. Like you were born into like in the wrestling culture since you were little, so you understand everything. So
Yeah.
when I talk to you, it was just talking to like somebody that has been in the business forever. So you understand everything, and you still watch, like you know the current status of the product. Maybe NXT is better for you, or like what? See, this is the question, and this is how I want to leave it. For you, is NXT or AEW?
AEW.
AEW.
And that's no slight to NXT, but I just really, it's refreshing to see a non-WWE product, be able to watch it and be like, okay, this is really good. What they're doing, I think, is very good. I mean, I'm very excited to see what's going on with the Revival. And even the stars, they're doing such a great job of producing stars. Whereas a year ago, if you would have said, MJF, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, they are stars now in my eyes. They are set up for big futures, and they're young guys. So it's very exciting to see.
Oh
them.
yeah, Jungle Boy too.
Jungle
Jungle Boy's gonna be a
Jurassic
champ.
Express.
Of course, yeah.
It's
So,
great.
family, this sums it up for this episode. We hope you enjoy it. We had a great guy. Thank you, Ryan, for being with us. And like I said,
Thank you,
this is
guys.
not the first time. We want you to be here with us for like
It is the
any
first
single
time. This is not the last time.
No,
Yes,
not at all.
this is not the
This
last
is definitely
ride.
something.
We watched
Yeah,
that
this
family.
isn't. This ain't Taker.
This is not the last dance or the last ride. Neither one of those two. So thank you, Ryan, so very much for being with us. We want you back for SummerSlam. AEW, we want you so we can talk about all these pay-per-views, and we need your expertise also. So Jean-Paul, where they can find us in the social media world?
Well, you can find us right here on YouTube, the original Rope Break. And if you want to be one of a guest like Ryan, comment, be like, hey, I want to be on the show, and we'll be like, hey, if you're legit, we'll have you on. So subscribe, comment here on the original Rope Break, and you can also follow us on Facebook, the original Rope Break, Instagram, the original Rope Break as well, and then Twitter, the OG Rope Break.
That's right. So, Ryan, again, it was so refreshing to see you. Thank you for the expertise. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for letting us relive, good wrestling back in the day. Of course, those were the days that sometimes I miss them. Because when I actually was really excited to watch things. But, So, Jean-Paul, you and me, Ryan, we have one more thing that is left to say. And what is that?